Hey, listen, and thank you for jumping on because today, why should you stay on and listen? Today, we're talking all things money, money management. We're talking about wealth. We're talking about your relationship with money. Why do some people get emotional around money? Why does money cause arguments? Let's find out. So I have Scarlette Joyce Rojas with me today, all the way from New Jersey, USA. Hey, Scarlett, how you doing?
I am doing great. I'm really excited to be here with you, Mac.
And listen, thank you so much for jumping on. I really appreciate your time. Listen, Scarlett, what I want to say is this. Usually on these calls, I ask our guests to talk about their entrepreneurial journey. How did you get started as an entrepreneur? You know, for you, right now, you are known as someone who helps people with their money. You have over
Mhm.
44,000 followers on Instagram, over 13 million views, a best-selling author.
Mhm.
You're talking about the psychology of money, the mindset, and how to manage money. But how did you get started in all that?
Honestly, I mean, I was in corporate and I worked for a very large firm, and I got sick of it. I really started realizing that the big corporate mentality or the big bank mentality really wasn't out to help the little person, right? The person like you and I. It all comes down to revenue for them. And there was a lot of things that I really realized that I thought, okay, this is outside of my value system. This isn't aligned with my value system and my purpose in helping people. And so that's what started kind of feeling off for me. And I thought, okay, I really feel that I can help people in a different way, because what happens in the banking world and the investment world is the investment world helps people that have money already.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the multimillionaires of the world, that's who the big banks want to work with. But they really don't want to work with people that are building wealth. And here, with when I became an entrepreneur, that was my biggest challenge, right? And that's what I wanted to do, is I wanted to say, okay, well, how do I help people building wealth as well as the multimillionaires? And so that's how I became an entrepreneur, because I actually wanted to challenge this way of doing business of the big banks in the investment world.
Fantastic. I think that's a good cause. That's a good mission. You want to make a difference to other people. And tell us about the book. I think you've recently launched your new book. Tell us about that. What does it contain? Why do people need to read it?
Yeah, so it's 31 Badass Money Mindset Affirmations. I think I actually have a copy right here. So this is it, 31 Badass Money Mindset Affirmations.
Nice.
And it's really all about mindset. So it does two things. It gives you an affirmation every single day, because what that does is it targets the subconscious belief system, which a lot of us kind of ignore and we don't even know that it's there. But it also targets the logical mind by giving it exercises that you can do that are financial exercises.
Okay.
So it's doing two things. So it's delving deep. And then, of course, it's explaining the affirmation too, because there's certain concepts that people think about money that are not working for them, that are holding them back from building wealth. And I saw this when I worked in corporate America, where I would tell people exactly what to do with their money, but for some reason they would find themselves in debt again. We would get out of debt, they'd find
Okay.
themselves in debt again. And so I started realizing there's more to money than just telling someone what to do. There's more to money than just investment strategy. There is a mental piece to how you're dealing with money that's holding you back or could propel you forward if you wire it the right way.
So great point there, Scarlett. So why do people struggle with money then? Is it a their parents never taught them? Is it what they listening to what the media is saying? How do people get into this debt and can't get out? What is really going on here?
So I always say that it's a financial thermostat. It's
Okay.
a financial thermostat that was pretty much set at a certain temperature since you were a kid. So
Right.
based on what happened with you when you were a child, it kind of tells you, all right, this is where you're going to be. Certain experiences that happen to you will allow you to see money in a certain way. It'll allow you to see the world in a certain way, and it allows you to see yourself in a certain way. And those are the three things that could either hold you back or propel you forward, is the way you see yourself, the world, and money. And that's really created when we are children.
Interesting, because when you're saying that, one of the programs we teach is, which is the Millionaire Mind, which is, one thing we say is that when you think about your money thermostat, if you want to call it that, the programming that we had as children or many years ago is very much about, okay, where did we pick this thing up from? And when we ask that question, people say, oh, parents, it's always parents. But then also when you go deeper, it's like religious leaders,
Yes.
grandparents, society, siblings. Society. And would you agree, often it's very subconscious. You may not even be aware that you're treating money this way. But at a deep subconscious level, that's how you're treating it. And especially when money is not working for you the right way, and you don't deal with that subconscious issue, it just holds you back. Would you agree?
100%. And you're right. It's an amalgamation of a bunch of different things, right? Society, church, or religious beliefs. What happened when you were a kid with your parents, what happens with your siblings. What's really interesting is that I study people's money personalities. Okay. And I have 3 siblings, so there's 4 of us, and we have different money personalities. Why? Because we took the same exact experience that happened to us as children differently in our child mind.
Okay.
And so because of that, then we begin to treat money differently. We begin to treat ourselves differently. We begin to think about the world differently, because one experience, you may take it differently than I did.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. And so especially, I suppose, when you don't come from money, and I've realized some people, when they don't come from money, what happens is they've watched or they've experienced or they've witnessed what's happened in the home with their parents. And sometimes you don't come from money, you'll notice your parents, they are very frugal with money. They keep it very tight. They don't waste food. Everything's got to be eaten. And some people look at it, okay, that's how to do it. And they won't spend money even if they have the money. They won't reward themselves even if they have the money. And how does all that play out?
So what's funny is that, so you take that experience of your parents being lower income, right? Your parents not having money. And one person might go that route. One person may become a super saver. That's one of the money personalities. Okay. So for example, myself, I became a super saver. Right. So because in my child mind, I told myself, I will never feel this way again, right? Okay. I will never lack something again. However, my brother, for example, became a life enthusiast. It's a different money personality. What happens there, they think, okay, this is the time to live, right? I want the things that I didn't have when I was a kid, and I'm going to give myself those things. And so then they spend the money. They don't think about tomorrow. Right. But both personalities, what they're doing is they're healing their inner child. Right. They're healing that little kid that was feeling either unsafe or, lacking. That's what they're doing now. That's the subconscious piece of it, is that we don't realize that the things that we're doing now and how we're handling money and how we handle relationships, right? Everything is subconscious, because what we're doing is we're healing an old wound, but we don't realize that. And that's what I help clients realize. Like, okay, what wound are you trying to heal here?
That's a novel way to approach it. What wound are you trying to, and they're not even aware that there is a wound until you bring it to consciousness. Right? It's fantastic. Yep. So
everything is happening subconsciously.
As you're speaking, I started thinking, oh my goodness, this person, especially in a relationship or even in a marriage, this person has wounds around money they don't even know. This other person has wounds around money they don't even know. They get married now, and one of the leading causes of divorce is what? Money, right?
Money.
So
Yeah.
what, yeah, so what? So do you get involved in that, helping people to deal with that kind of stuff in terms of money healing their
100%.
relationship? Oh, really?
Yes, yes, because that I find that fascinating. You can get married with somebody, you have
Mm,
different money personalities, right? But you don't
right.
know that when you're dating. And especially when you're dating, everything is so like, oh my gosh, you think it's a Cinderella movie, and it's not. When you're married, reality sets in.
Mm,
And so two people may have different personalities. They're either stuck in a pattern from the past, right? Something that they've seen when they were a kid, or they're trying to heal wounds, or both, right? So then you think that your partner, oh, they're not respecting what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to save money. I'm trying to create an empire for us. That's
mm,
one of the personalities, right? And the other one's like outspending. And then this person doesn't understand, like, okay, they don't understand that we could die next week. Like, what's the big deal? I'm just trying to create a good experience for the family, and he's not appreciating it,
right.
but then he's thinking she's not appreciating it. So there's a lot of things that are happening there. But if they take a step back, right? Because I see it from a neutral perspective. So if it take a step back and we see, okay, what is happening in this person's mind, and where is it rooted in their past, and what's happening in this person's mind, and where is it rooted in their past, and helping each other understand that so that they see each other in a different light. And then the next step would be, how do we work with our money personalities to really be able to bring the best out of that money personality out? Because there's pros and cons to every money personality. Even a
Yeah.
super saver, which seems to be like, oh, wow, it's like the best money personality, has a con to it.
Right, right. Absolutely. I can see that. I can see that. Listen, the many years ago, I found myself in that situation where I hadn't managed money very well. I'm now in debt. I'm over $100,000 in debt, struggling and feeling sorry for myself, having a breakdown. Realize, and then I came to realize there's something I don't know, because how do all these rich people, all these successful people I read about, how do they do it? So I went on this journey just to self-discovery. I went on different programs, I had different mentors. I fixed that. And so talk about, if somebody's in debt right now and struggling and thinking, well, it's okay, Scarlett's talking about managing your money and making more money and all the rest of it, but I'm in a hole here. I can't even get to
Mm-hmm.
zero. What would you say about coming out of debt through money management, good money management?
So first, I would say step one is the mindset piece of it.
Hmm.
Okay. And then we get into the granular things, which are more financial.
Yeah.
But step one being, do not have ostrich syndrome. Ostrich syndrome is when you know
Uh-huh.
things are not good, when you know you have bills to pay, but you tend to ignore it. Okay. So when you get to this amount of debt, right? You said $100,000 of debt. At some point between 0 and 100, you were ignoring, right? So that's ostrich syndrome. You were saying, okay, it's going to get better. I'm going to be able to fix it. Or,
Hmm.
okay, we can figure this out. Or so understand, okay, this is a problem. Let's do it. Let's fix it now. What do we do? Who do we
Hmm.
go to, right? Instead of just trying to ignore it. Then the other thing that happens is people will feed into a victim story. They're going to get stuck in the past. Like, for example, oh, I used to work for this company and I was getting paid $250,000, and now I'm only getting paid 150, and that's why I'm in debt. Okay, we get that. That's the past. We are now in the present. What are you going to do today to change that, right?
Hmm.
Do not get stuck in your victim stories. So those
Yeah.
are the two pieces of mindset that I see that becomes kind of like a pattern for people. So deal with that, and begin becoming aware that that could be happening to you.
Hmm.
Then step two will be expenses, right? Expenses and income. Very simple. You can either make more money or spend less, or
True.
both,
True.
right? So you get an expense sheet, you write every single thing that you spend on a monthly basis. You look at your income and you say, okay, on my expenses, what's actually necessity and what is a little bit more of a luxury? And what luxuries can I not live without, right? So, for example, I may not be able to live without the luxury of a gym membership, okay?
Mm.
So that stays. And then you look at, all right, if I was to trim the fat, right? How much extra do I have?
Right.
You use that money to begin putting more towards your debt.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we move on to step 3. Step 3 is as soon as you're done paying one of the debts, let's say one of your credit cards is $3,000 and the other credit card is $15,000, right? That you owe on it. So I would say you start with the $3,000 one. Okay.
Mm.
Why? Why the smaller one? Because once you're done paying that $3,000, you're actually mentally, you have a win.
Right.
So now you just gamified it. So it's like, oh, okay, I won something. I won. I have an achievement. And it makes you feel good and it makes you want to keep going and pay off a different one and pay off more. And so then you take that same amount that you were putting towards that 3,000 and that $3,000 payment that you were like that payment to that $3,000 credit card you were making does not go away. It continues to happen, but now you're adding it to whatever you were paying on the $15,000 card.
Right.
Then once you're done paying that $15,000 card, you do the same exact thing. Those both payments that you were making on that now goes to the third card. So that's how you pay off your debt so much faster because it's almost like it's a snowball effect. You're continuously making payments and there's not a payment that goes away until all of your debt is gone. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's very good what you're saying in terms of the steps and the levels. You're absolutely right because when I was broken, I was struggling. One of the mentors I had was a chap called T. Harv Eker. He wrote a book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And I
Yeah, yeah.
followed his programs. Yeah, and I'm a teacher for him now, but, apart as well as my own programs, where he talks about the jar system in terms of having buckets in terms of how you're managing your money, some here, some here. It talks about debt as well, but you've gone into a bit more detail about actually come out of debt. And
Mm-hmm.
just described as you was talking, I thought, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And also using these jars system allowed me to come from this hole to multiple millions. But it wasn't by
Mm-hmm.
accident. And I talk about the journey in my book, The Millionaire Moment. What happened? Where did I come from and what happened? And so when you start breaking it down and at that granular level, I'm telling people listening here, this is the real. If you're struggling
Yeah.
financially, know that there are steps and people like Scarlette can help you. Just check her out. Now, I want to move on to, apart from debt and money management, I want to talk to generational wealth now.
Mm-hmm.
Because how do you create generational wealth if
Mm-hmm.
it didn't come from money and nobody is giving you the money, but you are managing your money, you're investing wisely? What's any ideas, tips, and strategies around that?
So yeah, so I'm going to talk about the practical stuff first.
Well,
And the practical stuff in generational wealth is making sure that if something happens to you, that you have legal documentation prepared so that your child knows what to do, knows
mm,
who to go to, knows how it will be handled, right? So that could be a trust, that's a will, that is making sure that they understand who to go to, maybe like a letter or something like that. Like
mm,
personally, I have a folder, right? And it's actually, it says, I wrote right on there, if I die. Very easy to find. So
very
if
good.
my son opens my drawer, he's going to see a folder that says, if I die. And if I'm dead, he's going to be like, oh, I guess my mom wants me to open this.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So then on there, inside there is all the documentation he's going to need in case I die, including a couple of options for him to choose as advisors, people I trust, so that
Okay.
he's not left wondering, I don't know who to go to for advice, right? So there's certain things that I say are really, really important. And I don't know how it is for your listeners in Europe and Asia, what legal documentation, but there should be very similar things to United States. One of them is a power of attorney. So that's in case anything happens to you. For example, you get into an accident and you can't make payments on your mortgage or something like that. You need somebody to be able to help you with these things, right?
Yeah.
So a power of attorney is while you're still alive, someone can help you. Then you have a living will. A living will is same thing. If you get into an accident and let's say you can't breathe or they have to make a decision on you, right? Do we remove the ventilator or do we not? Do not let your family have to make that decision for you. You should be making that decision prior to something happening to you, because what I've seen so much is families are torn apart because one wants this and the other one wants something else, and then they have resentment once you pass away.
Mm.
And then third is a will or a trust. So it's just going to depend on your assets whether a will or a trust makes sense. But that basically says, when I die, this is what happens to all my property,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of people don't want to deal with this because they're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to think about death. Get over it. Get
Yeah.
over it. Like, it's gonna happen whether you like it or not. Maybe it's 40 years from now, or maybe it's 40 hours from now. You just
Yeah.
don't know,
It's gonna
right?
happen
We're
to
not
all of
God.
us. Yeah, it's gonna happen to all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But you know,
So
you're
those are the practical steps for generational wealth. And then I'll share the mindset stuff. But
yeah, yeah, go for it. Yeah, what I was going to say and then continue is, when the moment you said, I have a folder, and the folder says that when I die, do this. It's like for a lot of people, it's like, oh my goodness, I can't even write those words. I can't even print those words. And hence the reason when they go, they've left a whole mess for someone else to clean up, right? And they've
yes,
left a whole mess for someone else to deal with. And also then inheritance tax kicks in. They giving more money to the government than they need to. So I wholeheartedly agree with what you're saying there. It's not a nice thing. We don't want to think about it, but we've got to think about what are we leaving behind? And are we being
yeah,
kind and courteous, or are we just leaving a mess? So carry on. I stopped
right,
in the flow. Go ahead.
right. No, and you're right on. And then the second piece of it is the mindset, right? Because one of the things that we leave the next generation is our mindset, right? And we
Mm,
do that because our children are watching how we act, right? They're watching what we do.
yeah.
So what we say. So what do you say about yourself and them? How are they perceiving? How are our children perceiving themselves based on how we treat them, what we say about them? What do you say about the world? Are you talking about how horrible the world is and, oh, it's just going to crap and okay, or we can't trust people? Like, no, if you're sowing seeds of mistrust, you're
That's right.
sowing seeds of like not being able to be confident in the world, then you're going to be raising children that are scared, that are full of fear.
That's true.
And then lastly, what are we saying about money around them, right? Do we say money is evil, or
Mm,
rich people are
greedy.
they're bad people,
Mhm.
or they're selfish?
Yeah.
Then you're sowing seeds of just seeing money in a negative light, and your children are not going to want to be wealthy, because who wants to be a bad person because they're rich? So that's another piece to the generational part, is you leave a legacy in the mindset that you're sowing into your children and the actions you take with them. So parents that come save their children all the time, I find that to be very, it's yeah, it
I
just
agree with you.
totally doesn't help them,
You're setting them up to
right?
fail because at some point they've got to face the world, yes or no. You're absolutely
Yes.
right there, Scarlett. One of the things I started doing years ago when I got myself out of my hole and kids came along, my eldest is 23 now. But from the age of, I've got three kids, 23, 19, and 17. From the age of around 4 or 5, I got them sitting down with me, we played the cash flow game by Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki.
Nice, yeah.
And so before the age of 8, 9, 10, they could talk in assets, liabilities, expenses, income, passive income. They knew that language because exactly what you said there is that I want them to know that this is the reality of the world. And also, I'm not giving you any money. If you want money, you have to, let's
Right.
find out the way. So I wholeheartedly agree with what you're saying. So I want to do something quickly and I'm coming back to you. So
Mhm.
in a moment, I'm going to ask you if there's any last words you want to say, anything you want to share. But before that, let's talk about if people want to get a hold of you and they want to learn
Mhm.
from you or get your book, what's the best way for them to connect with you or contact you?
So my website,
Okay,
moneymindsetadvisors.com, is the best way to learn about me. And right on there is actually a money personality quiz that you can take
nice.
that will help you find out your money personality, your spouse's personality. Obviously, allow your spouse to take their own quiz. Do not take the quiz for your spouse. So just that will give you your money personality. And right on there is all my social media where you can find me. I'm mostly on Instagram. And then the book is on Amazon. It's on Spotify, Apple Books, Audible. So you can find me there as well.
Awesome. I'm going to come back to you for your last words in a moment. So let's do this. For those of you watching, listening, whichever platform you're on, remember to like, share the algorithms, as you know, likes engagement. So give us a comment as well. What did Scarlett say that triggered you and thought, oh, I better look at this? I didn't realize my family background is affecting my money today. What if it's like that? Just put it in, put it in. And remember to follow, subscribe, depending on which channel you are on, and share this with your friends as well. This is great stuff. This is important information. You'll be doing them a favor. Scarlett, over to you. Anything I should have asked you, I haven't asked you yet, because money and wealth is such a big subject. And I think you've given us
Mhm.
golden nuggets already, but is there anything that our audience should be aware of as well?
I think for the audience you have, right, the entrepreneurs, is one thing that I've noticed about entrepreneurs is that they're very intelligent, ambitious, determined people. And because of that, I think that one of the things that we do as entrepreneurs is we forget that we can't do it all. And I
Mm,
think that that begins to create this glass ceiling that I see a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with because they want to be able to control and do everything. No one's going to do it as good as they do it, right? We have this mentality. And so then we kind of struggle with allowing other people to come on in and help us with it. So we try to do it all ourselves, and then that creates this glass ceiling that our business can be more successful if we begin to hire people, if we begin to look at, okay, who else can help me here.
right.
I really believe in having the dream team of a business coach or a mentor for every entrepreneur. The other thing is a financial team. So someone that's going to be able to look at your finances and give you tax advice as well, right?
Yeah.
Then it's a mastermind. You
Mm,
know, who do you have in your circle that you can get together with once a month and just say, hey, this is what I'm going through, because 5 or 6 minds think better than one. So for the entrepreneurs that are listening to this podcast, just remember that you do need people to move forward, right? There's that African proverb that says that if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And so I do just kind of leave the entrepreneurs with that, because we need to remember that our business is a road
mm.
to a freedom that we want. It is not our life. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs end up making the business their life, and then their relationships go awry, right? Or their fun and their social life goes awry. So just remember that your business is a means to some freedom that you're looking for. So what is that freedom?
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And often I say that you and your business are separate entities. You are not your business. And so if you make your business your identity, when that goes, often it will affect you and it will negatively affect you. So treat it as, this is me, this is my relationship. I'm in this relationship with this person. I've got these kids. This is my family. This is what we do. I like going to the gym, whatever it is. Do you, boo, as they say. And then on the other side, that's your business. Your business, exactly what Scarlette said. It's a vehicle that adds value to people, and in exchange you get paid. You manage that business, you can create more money through it. So excellent, love that. Scarlette, I want to say thank you for giving us so many golden nuggets, so many insights, things that often people don't talk about, and also not many people are teaching, by the way, especially the subconscious part of how your money and your wealth is created or it's been affected. So thank you so much for jumping on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
You're most welcome. I had fun in this particular interview. So I want to say, all those listening and watching, thank you again for spending time. Remember to share this as well and make some comments. So thank you. Until we speak again. Bye for now, and happy selling and building your business. Bye for now.